welcome to a new season of Walking Digital Corridors. This is season 4, and what better way to kick off a new season with a special guest who I'll get to just in a moment. Now, let's do a quick round of introductions in case you've forgotten who we are. My name is the Bearded Sales Guy, otherwise known as Alex Abbott, and I'm joined by the very handsome.
Oh, you're too kind. Jordan Abbott, also known as the sales poet. Excuse any background noise. I am in transit at the minute and dialing in from the airport.
Yes, yeah. So just toggle that mute. Just toggle that mute button at the appropriate time. But thank you for joining whilst you're on your travels. Now, on the topic of today's discussion, cold calling versus social selling. Quite a contentious topic, perhaps, especially when you think about how buyer behavior has changed and the need for an alternative approach to cold calling, perhaps. So our special guest today, here to join this brilliant discussion, is the very successful Mr. Richard Blank, CEO of Costa Rica Call Center and cold calling expert. Richard, do you want to introduce yourself? Say a few words.
First is Alex. Jordan, I can't thank you enough for having me as a guest on your amazing podcast today. I'm so excited to be here. Yes, I'm a long shot from Northeast Philadelphia. Stars actually aligned and I hit. When I was 27 years old, I moved to Costa Rica to work at a friend's center, decided to stay and learn the business from the inside out. 17 years ago, my wife and I threw our hat in the ring, started this business. Today, we are 150 strong, and count my blessings. It's been a great run so far.
Cool. Well, it's great to have you, Richard. We've had a couple of conversations on the run up to this podcast, and the more time I spend with you, the more I think that maybe I could do cold calling again. But, Let's kick off with the first question for us to debate today. Now, can cold calling really hold its own in the age of AI? What do we
100%. If not, then I can't sell my business. No, I'm only kidding. But we can look at it objectively. And I thank you for the compliment. I didn't think I was that convincing to tell you to sell your soul and start making telemarketing calls. But we were talking about real foundation soft skills and how many jobs with what you have you can use outside of the office that can enrich your life. Certain athletes can and certain people, but most of the time you leave all those skills at the office, go home and have to reset it again. Today, most of the younger generation, they're used to non-voice. They're used to chatting, texting, and those sort of things. And so when I bring people into the center, I almost need to teach them how to ride a bike again. And a lot of the old school players like myself want to receive a phone call. They want to know somebody prior to them moving forward. Plus, it reduces miscommunication, misinterpretation. Anybody can put an ad out there and get 1,000 different likes, but it's that one phone call that's memorable. It's the one thing that sticks, separates you from the rest. And so my clients see it as a means to an end. It can offset certain other expenses that you do if you need to follow up on double opted-in data or certain hot leads. But if you're just talking about carpet bombing, cold calling, no, by all means, it's not for the faint of heart. But if anybody does it, they're giving themselves the opportunity where their earnings potential is limitless. And so I fully endorse even trying it for a while just to see if it's successful for you.
Yeah. Now I want to dig into that in a moment, but Jensen has decided to grace us with his presence. Jensen, welcome.
Thank you. Hi all. How are you all doing today?
Good. Has the promotion gone to your head? Are you now just kind of turning up whenever you like?
No. I've been extremely busy today, and I had calls drop in last minute that I had to take and couldn't get out of. So I do apologize, but it's a pleasure to be here speaking with you today.
Brilliant. So Richard Jensen is obviously Jordan's brother. And I'm pulling his leg a little bit because I know he was on a demo that dropped in last minute. But he also got a promotion this week, so I wanted to give him an opportunity to let the audience know about that.
Thank you.
So from BDR to senior BDR, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, congratulations. First time we've spoken, actually, until I saw the LinkedIn announcement.
I know, it is. It's funny that.
So Richard was just talking about cold calling and how it's going to hold its own in the age of AI. And I can't help but start to question, well, hang on, what about these automated dialers? And, you know, the fact that when a recipient feels like they're being, you know, they're in some sort of automated process, it doesn't feel very authentic.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
And when you talk about automated dialers, what exactly is that?
Well, Jens, it's great to see you, my friend. I think your father is referring to robocalling, where there's so many ways. And when you call into a company in IVR, where it's, you know, integrated voice response, but let's say you pick up the phone and like, hi, do you need to update your auto insurance? You're like, you got to be kidding me. And it's like, hi, this is Susie. You're like, hey, what's up, Susie? Susie? Yeah. Do you want? It's all.
Yeah.
It's offensive. It really gives us a bad rap.
Yeah.
And I believe that you're just listening to a recording. Is it good for gathering? Yeah, they play their small percentages of 1% to 3%. But then again, look at the sort of, it's once again, people are on a do not call list and don't want the calls that hinders us. I was talking to your father, boys, and we were talking about this hypothesis that was done in 1970 by a Japanese professor of robotics, Masahiro Mori, and it was called Bukimi no Tani, was the uncanny valley theory. It's where it's really a psychological and aesthetic relationship between the similarities of humans and our reactions to it. And so when you are speaking to something that's voice activated, they can gather your information. Hi, how many people do you have? What's the reservation date? What time? Fine. But then when you start getting to a certain point where it becomes almost human-like, but there's something off, it drops immediately. You get freaked out by it. It's almost like that doll that is too lifelike, or the android. Freaks you out a little bit. And so then they need to readjustment, so it goes back again, hence the valley. And so when we get these recordings, it's annoying because you're frustrated, you're trying to explain that your tire popped and you need some help, and they keep asking you the same 5 questions again. And if they don't understand it, you get hung up upon, wrong department. It takes 10 times more to get through. If you're in a rush, or if you're trying to retain a client, just trying to upsell, get a referral. And so a lot of this stuff, I believe, you can replace it for the simple gathering. Let's use football terminology. Bring it to the 10-yard line. But boys, we take it into the end zone because that's that sort of empathy which the computers have not mastered yet. The moment that they master empathy and human emotion and human reaction, then what happens? Then we lose our soul. Where's our identity? Where's the human nature? And so it's a give and a take. It's a love-hate relationship. And for me, there will always be someone that presses 0 that wants to talk to me. And so your quality call will definitely replace that robocall 1,000 times. I promise you that.
Yeah. Just on that point, I think that with the rise of AI flooding the sort of text outreach space, it's lending itself more so to a call because it's a human interaction rather than AI potentially being involved. So perhaps the rise of AI is actually bringing back cold calling potentially. Is one view.
Yeah. It was interesting. Did you get that, Richard?
A little bit. I was breaking up a bit. I'm sorry about that, Jordan. It's if you could repeat that for me a little bit, the question.
He's basically saying that with the rise of AI, it's sort of bringing the human call back into the frame a little bit. You know, there's a desire to speak to a human far more than an AI.
Today we notice it because of the timing, the twerks, the human errors that we have. That's natural. The computers, they're latent. They don't answer the question when I'm complaining. They just ask me the third question compared to, oh, Richard, I understand your position. Let me fix this ABC. No, they don't do that. But guess what? In 5 to 10 years, they will. I mean, look at what they're doing with movies today. They're making the people look so human-like you can't tell the difference. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen soon. And the last portion of it, I keep repeating that, is the human emotion to it. Once they say, oh, Jordan, I'm so sorry that your flight was delayed. I understand what it's like because I've been late to things before. They're going to get you. But there's no way a human can understand what it's like to give these robots don't know what it's like to give a hug. They don't know what it's like to love. And so I don't know if I want a computer loving me. I don't know if I want them to tell me to cry on their shoulder or explain to me what it's like if a family member passes away. I think that's crossing a line. Yeah. And so, in my opinion, the only way that's going to happen is if you get fooled. And once they do that, you're going to have to really then start asking yourself, what is real? And can I be replaced? I am going to die and get replaced. Am I going to have any real friends anymore? Or is every time I write somebody, it's going to be a bot? And so these are the sort of things we need to ask ourselves, because once you get past a certain point, I'm not going to say there's no point of no return. I can still walk outside and have lunch with Alex. But imagine if I tried to write them and tried to communicate with them. It might be filtered through something that can save him that time. I love hearing about the musicians. They will always write their music. They might use a thesaurus or something to assist them to get them out of a writer's block, but there's absolutely no way you're going to do that electromagnetic transfer of that love, energy, art, and life unless you do it yourself. And so, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Richard. Just thought I'd jump in there because, and Jordan's still with us, by the way. He's just on audio. The signal's not great. So, Jordan, if you want to ask a question, just drop it in the chat or speak up. But there's with Jordan and Jensen both in sales roles and both being asked to cold call.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say they're natural cold callers. They spent a few years working with me doing social selling and doing it very, very well. And for the most part, it's more effective, far more effective than what they can do with cold calling. What advice would you give Jordan and Jensen and many salespeople out there that are being asked to pick up the phone and they're not quite sure what to do or how to have a productive interaction?
Yes, Alex. Well, I would hate for them to compare themselves with Blake from Glengarry Glen Ross or The Wolf of Wall Street or Boiler Room. These are extremely seasoned, well-rehearsed individuals that sling stock in real estate. If that's what you're selling, imitate that. But what happens if you're selling bicycles? I mean, you got to do something different. And so the Justice League, we're all superheroes, but we have our own special power. Me, you speak English better than me. I love your accent. And so, but somebody else, it's about your core, because there's no way that Judy's going to transfer me to you, Alex, unless I'm able to snap her out of the trance, properly introduce myself, and get that past the pitch. That's old school. That's what Grandma and Grandpa taught us. I understand, but telemarketing is a medium. It's a controlled environment of you doing something that increases skills. It might seem old school to you, but for me, I think it's that much more of a relationship builder. But why don't we do this? There is some sort of structure to it. If you hate it, you shouldn't be doing it, or you shouldn't be selling what you're selling. Come on, don't compromise your ethics. Find the right environment. Secondly, if you're going to do cold calling, then why don't you do it in like a buddy system? So if you could feed off of someone's energy and you can congratulate somebody on a good call, me today, you tomorrow. If you try to do cold calls by yourself, it's like working out in the home instead of going to the gym. You're never going to learn from people bigger than you. You're never going to learn proper weight distribution and form, and you might hurt yourself. And also, there's an art to it. Oh, rhetoric is the most beautiful. It's not a debate where you're throwing my point of view down your throat. It's structured arguments. It's listening. It's increasing vocabulary for diplomacy and strategy. It's wicked cool. It's really readjustments of tones. And if you find a 10-minute phone call, a 20-page script intimidating, of course it is. But why don't we divide and conquer? Why don't we stop memorizing page 5? You might be on another project tomorrow, so why are you even worried about it? Why don't you focus on your first 30 seconds? Why? It's a romantic death. I'm not worried about anything else. I can say, walking digital corridors, how are you today? At least I'm saying that 100 times a day. And then instead of Alex saying, is this a sales call? Don't call again. We're good, thanks. Take me off the list. That's because you sound like a salesman. But guess what, Jordan and Jensen, if they say, who's this? Guess what you got? You got the first checkpoint. You got the positive reinforcement. Come on, this is old school. It's how you properly introduce yourselves. And then I'd say, hey, Alex, my name is Richard Blank. I don't give you the name of my company. I got to double dip you. And I got to hear Alex say, well, who is Richard Blank? Gotcha. Yeah, Richard Blank's with Costa Rica's call center. And so from there, before I get transferred, I'm going to let Alex know that when I get transferred to Jordan or Jensen, how amazing you are. So then when I get transferred to one of your boys, first thing I say is, hey, Alex is the greatest. And you're like, yeah, that's my dad. Who is this? Gotcha. And so I'm starting smooth. I'm not compromising ethics, values, or morals. I'm not lying. I just said the name of your company better than whoever picked up the phone, properly introduced myself, doubled down it just to test the waters. And then we call it a positive escalation. I just complimented you. I'm going to do it verbally and I'm going to do it in writing. So when I call your company back, building these pipelines that you want, because not every call is a cold call close. You might need to build a pipeline and respect boundaries. But when I do call your company back, I've got a hero's welcome. It's beautiful that way. And there's other additional soft skills I can talk about, transitional sentences, tie downs. I prefer using military alphabet. I love open-ended questions because why am I carrying the weight? I'm not going to talk my whole menu. I'm going to say, yo, Alex, what do you want to eat? And you start talking, then I just throw extra cheese and sauce on it. I mean, come on. Yeah. It's a very good way for you to lead the dance. As long as we're dancing, yeah, man, you lead the dance. It's great. So that's the adjustments.
Yeah. I've done it again. I thought you'd stop speaking there, Richard. So many salespeople are desperate for that person to pick up the phone and have that conversation, right? So the idea of putting the phone down after 30 seconds and being happy with that, knowing that you've got an opportunity to try again, I can imagine is quite fearful for some salespeople because they want to keep the person on the phone. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's been some research about, kind of the length of time you can keep someone on the phone for, and that increases the chances of, a sale. But I guess we're also talking about a variety of different products or solutions that might be being sold.
Sure.
Now, what do you say to those people that are thinking, well, I need to keep the person on the phone for longer?
I've never met them before, never heard their calls, but I tell you what, do you remember the old movie, The Karate Kid, with Mr. Miyagi and Daniel's son? Mm-hmm. Half of the movie was Daniel's son by himself. Yeah, Miyagi showed you wax on, wax off, but then he left you for 8 hours to do it. Dedicated practice, gentlemen. You don't train, you're not going to win the fight, so why even walk in it? And so when you're off the phone, this is a luxury trade. All the world's a stage. You speak Queen's English. And so I think the greatest thing for you to do is to practice these skills. And if you find that listening to motivational speeches and books are good for you, that's fine. But I will disclose something with you. When I was studying rhetoric in college, I felt that reading was a chore. And some of these old studies that they did kind of just dragged on. But I wanted to learn from the masters. And so I used to enjoy the show Remington Steele. I'd watch Templeton Peck from the A-Team. And the grandmaster for me was Basil Rathbone when he was doing Sherlock Holmes in the 30s and 40s. These were such eloquent speakers. Oh, did they have poise and balance and timing? And when people were attacking them, they had amazing composure, rebuttals, and delivery. It's almost like the rap game today with Eminem that does mic drops. It's just a different generation, different time. And so I gravitated towards those that had the slick tongue, but not in a way of being mischievous, but more clever, more prepared. If you have 10 or 15 responses to somebody, then don't act. It's more of a reaction. Why? Because I've practiced this 1,000 times. A boxer that hits a bag 1,000 times. Then when you get in the ring, it's muscle memory.
Yeah.
So it reduces any sort of fear. You can anchor in the beginning. You can give yourself some leverage. So I don't want the people fearful 6 months to get warmed up. Then you shouldn't be in this game. You're in the wrong game. You should be coming to me warmed up and ready to go. Like if you hit the bike 15 minutes before you go into the weights, you're breathing, you're sweating, and you're warmed up.
Yeah.
You're not coming to me cold. This is not a start-stop. And so I need people with some sort of momentum. Pardon the cliche, but I'm not going to hit the ball and drag Johnny. It's just not the way it is. We need to feed off on this sort of energy where I see you cracking codes, shedding skin, and growing. And if you are coachable and if you're manageable, then I can build on these skills and kill the fat.
Yeah.
But this is a game where if you're good at it, you can make $1 million. Not only can you do that, but you can retain relationships. You can diffuse conflicts. You can master the skill of management when sometimes people are coming at you or when there's momentum. And so it's really about being more in the now, gentlemen. Really being in the now and capturing some of these goodies that happen every now and again that you would have missed if you were not attentive to the conversation at the moment.
Yeah. Talk to us a bit more about the importance of the totality, the tonality, and the timing.
Cool. May I make a suggestion? Because the tone represents your emotion. There's a technique called mirror imaging. I wouldn't recommend it if someone's negative. Why would you want to imitate that? But if someone just won the game, yeah, I'm happy and high-fiving. There's a beautiful combination. Confidence and empathy. But I need to back it up with an argument. Your favorite doctor, he knows your tummy hurts. He has empathy, but he's confident he'll solve it. What about the great attorney? Someone scratched my car. Richie, I got you. I understand you love your convertible, but we're going to win this case. And then my favorite, dad of the year, Alex, my boy. Jordan and Jensen love their pop. When there was lightning and thunder outside, he told him it was going to be okay. Dad was going to protect them. Look at the way you raised your two boys. It's a direct indication of good parenting. And so my suggestion for you is you put your chest out, you're bold and you're brave. You're confident, but you're not such a jerk where you don't care about puppies and flowers. I love seeing those gentle giants that pets bunnies. Those are the sort of nice things. You want to be protected by the giant that has that leverage. You could either be a bully or a savior. And so not saying size physically, but mentally. Those are the sort of things where I go into these conversations, I'm going bold and brave. And if you're willing to hang up on me, you're going to hang up on a smile. And then I get to jump another cloud. And so that's just the mindset of this forced march that some of these telemarketers believe that they're on. Forced march? Why are you on it in the first place? This is a hero's journey. It takes distance. And there are dragons out there. Save your princess. And so as I'm going to say, it's not for the faint of heart. But if you're willing to make this a lifestyle, all-encompassing, don't be surprised if your social skills, your networking, and your self-reliance just grows. And so I'm going to say it again. It's a luxury trade. It's the art of speech. It's a beautiful gift that can be used at any time.
Yeah. So Jordan and Jensen, come on. You guys are in the trenches. What questions have you got for Richard?
Yeah, give it.
Do you know what, right now I could say you've answered pretty much all of the questions that I had, in all honesty. But just to echo what you're saying, definitely kind of the last couple of months of me picking up the phone more, me growing confidence. Alex can definitely kind of back me up that for me, confidence is key. Confidence is key, consistency is key, but also I like to be very positive in my self-talk, because like you were saying, that the mirror, I think it was the mirroring of the emotion or something.
Mirror imaging, yeah.
That's it. If I'm feeling bad, my attitude to everyone else is bad. When I'm happy and I'm confident and I believe in myself, people want to listen to me. And that's one thing I've found, right? So when you were saying about those first 30 seconds, I always found that maybe the first 30 seconds months and months ago wasn't very energetic because it was that nerves, right? Whereas now, when you bust that door open with energy, and it's more, hey, is this so and so calling? And it's, yes, who's this? It's Gent Snabbit. It's like you said, don't say the company name. Oh, Gent Snabbit from who? Oh, it's actually Gent Snabbit from content.ai. And I like to do other things that also help me be successful in cold calling, right? So I'll connect with people. I'll engage on their posts. So when I say that Gent Snabbit, I've had it before. People go, oh, you're the person who connected with me recently. And that's almost like another gotcha moment, right? It's exactly. So they know who I am, and keeping that energy high, being confident, adding value, right? In having actual facts and statistics that I'm armoring myself with. People, I know that when I'm speaking to these people, they haven't had a cold call like this today. So actually they're more inclined to stay on that phone. And then it's more, I don't try and keep them on the phone for as long as possible, because I prefer having a meeting where I can see someone. So it's more for me, I'm trying to get on a face-to-face meeting so I can actually paint a picture of who you are, and you can do the same for me. But no, I completely, and completely agree to everything you're saying. And the way and the language that you use and how you change your tones, it makes me be captivated for when you're speaking. So I really do like as well how you can change kind of the tones in the way that you're speaking, because it also helps me stay more kind of concentrated. Where if you were just one monotone, I'd probably switch off. I'd be like, oh, yeah, it hasn't kept my attention. Where actually, the more that you speak and the fact that you have armored yourself up with great vocabulary, it's more entertaining and interesting for me to listen to than actually switch off.
Yeah.
Oh, you're speaking about my favorite subject. Give me at least 30 seconds, take a huge breath, and a Cliff Note version of what I can give you on a QA right now, because you're so bold making these phone calls. I'm so proud of you. Stop being the pyramid of the large base and the apex. You know, if you flip it over, that apex point, which is a millimeter, balanced correctly, can support it. Why are you start with dessert first? Why are you waiting till the end of the call for the James Bond moment? You crazy? You could get hung up on. Give them the juice in the first 30 immediately. Remember tie down questions. Hey, Jensen, makes sense, right? Sounds good, right? What are we doing? I'm going to give you psychology of this thing before the battlefield. Don't be aggressive. Don't like that. Stop interrupting. Don't be passive. No way. It's being assertive. Assertive. It's a 45-degree angle for longbow distancing. That's what we do. Makes sense, right, Jensen? Great. And I can't say Jensen. I'm not going to name drop you constantly. I do it during the tie down questions or the beginning of the end of the idea. That's where the transitional sentence is for the next idea. But in the middle, to keep their attention on a non-visual call, you must emphasize names and numbers. You pause before that, like a game show. Those are the trigger words that you use. And then secondly, to bring you back in attention, like a pastor aliman, like a shepherd dog with their little sheep. You need to use personal pronouns. I can't do Jensen, but I can do your, our. I give that a 1/4 second slide, just enough so they don't catch it, but enough to bring them back in. It's not too long. I'm not overemphasizing. And I'll use illustrators. Why? Congruence, audio, matching, visual. You're going to get 15% more out of it. They say they see the smile. Yeah, I know they see the smile. But what about the thing? Come on, 15%. And then I also believe in military alphabet with the individuals. Why? A lot of people have served. And also it's the clearest. So emails do not bounce back. And it's a wonderful way, in a very polite and passive aggressive way, to ask people how to pronounce their extremely exotic last names, because most people are afraid to ask him his last name. I have no problem saying that at all. And I'll start spelling it out. And then they'll say, Richie, you're the first person that ever could say my last name correctly. Of course I did. That's the sort of business you have prior. And then a lot of it is just, if you want to, when they start throwing rebuttals at you, don't you dare answer like a child that's in trouble. You filter that answer. They're going to say, hey, Jensen, what's ABC? And you're going to say, Richard, that's a great question. ABC is 1, 2, 3. Yeah. I'm going to name drop me to filter it. Hey, Richard, I just buffered my tone. That's a great question. I'm going to repeat the question, ABC, so you don't repeat it. And then I'm going to send it back happy. It's called the buffer boomerang technique. In and out. You don't receive it. You use it. Yeah. Okay? And these are the sort of things that enable conversations. You're talking about manipulation, not by lying. I'm checkpointing you so we can move forward. And I tell you what, stop the horizontal. If someone is interested in the 5 things, you better say it and pause. Give it 2 seconds. Don't say we have A, B, C, D, E. Hey, Alex, we got A. Hey, Jensen, what about B? Oh, I like B. Great. Stop moving. Go to vertical and start asking open-ended questions. You can still do the rest. And if you're really confident, re-rake it one more time. You sure you don't have any questions about A, C, and D? You like B? Yeah, tell me more about D. Gotcha. It's just an insurance policy. You're just asking, and you say, does that take a lot of time? No. I might do it 3 to 5 times on a 10-minute phone call. 3 times 10 is 30 seconds. So now you're on the phone call for 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Not really. Because the more that I repeat your stuff, open-ended question you guide me to the steak, not the seafood. Me confirming it, it's not a 10-minute, 30-second call. It's 7 minutes, 30 seconds. And if you want to go to 10 minutes, use the extra 2.5 to chum it up. And that's where due diligence comes in. Your dad asked a very important question earlier. How much do you speak with somebody? Jensen, if they give you 4,000 phone numbers, you're carpet bombing. Just use the name of the company, spike it, and try to get in there. But if you have a hot list of double opted in data, as you say, individuals waiting for your phone call or they know who you are, then take the extra minute to do some additional due diligence of their LinkedIn profile, their website. Why? You call me, Jensen, you start talking about my pinball machines or me being from Philly or jukeboxes. Brother, you got 5 minutes. It's yours to lose. Why? You just complimented me that you took the time.
Yeah, brilliant.
Old school way, our generation, right, Alex? Generation X. So my brother, the way things we were taught and how we were raised, trust me, it will separate you from the 99 other people making those calls.
Yeah, and we've got Generation A coming up, hitting the workplace in the next 3 years. Just imagine training Generation A to do cold calling. Right, I think we're going to have to call it there. Richard, this has been great. Thank you very much for joining us on Walking Digital Corridors. Where can people find more about you? For more, let me put my teeth back in and say that again. Where can people find out more about you and specifically what you've just been talking to us about?
Well, they can buy a ticket and fly to Costa Rica and come visit me. We're located in Central America, north of Panama, south of Nicaragua. And real fast for your audience, it's the only democratic society in Central America. There's no standing army, so they put their money back into education with a 95% literacy rate, the most neutral Central American English accent, best infrastructure. And you want to hear my competition? Amazon, HP, Intel, and Oracle are here. I compete against them. But what's the difference? I don't give the people in my industry a walk of shame. And I know that there's a huge attrition in my industry. It happens. People want to work closer to home or their girlfriend works there. But I tell you what, when they have coffee with their boss, they play pinball with them, I invest in their soft skills. That's when you can filter out the generals and you find the aces that will come and work with you because they see the long-term benefits. I'm going to say it again. You might be earning $1 compared to $2, but the dollar place you might be learning from old school Mr. Jones and the skills that he's going to give you. It's going to make you a champion. Yeah. And so just spend your time wisely. But also, I got a very large Facebook fan page, 143,000 people there. It's a local Costa Rican Ticos in our industry. So when this goes live, you're gonna have a lot more fans. And of course, I can't thank you enough. I had the best time. I really enjoyed being here today, and I hope I was able to shed some light on some things and be entertaining for you and your audience.
Certainly for me. Jensen, Jordan, if you're still there.
Yeah, very. I'd like to say a massive thank you, Richard, because definitely opened my eyes and actually, I'd say probably one of the most energetic guests that we've had and captivating. So no, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I've actually just pinged you a LinkedIn connection, so it'd be great to have a conversation offline as well.
I was just going to mention that. My man, you need to role play with me.
Yeah.
We'll definitely talk about that.
Definitely.
But good for you. As I'm saying, it's not a dying industry. If done properly, it's a means to an end, and smaller to mid-sized companies can really retain clients, get an upsell, get a referral, and even that exit interview. Just suggestions for us for improvement. But yeah, boys, you got the best out of me today.
Cool. All right, Richard. Enjoy the rest of your week. Take care, everyone.